about you? This week is a very special week because in this double portion, we are going to start the process of, we call it the kedoshim, the sanctification, the setting apart. It's about to be clean, to be pure, pure and impure, tahor and tamei. Also, we need to understand in the context of the time that was given and the religious principles that were given at the time that the Torah was shared with us. And also, there are many things that sometimes, in my personal point of view, I always say in my humble opinion, many times, even our own sages have misinterpreted or misunderstood certain areas. And sometimes, because of the religiosity and the religious zeal, sometimes they have gone to extremes to almost to create barriers that they didn't exist, and many of the instructions that were given was in order to keep the reverence to the Bet Midrash, to the temple, to the Ohel Moed, to the Tent of Meetings, and to the holiness or to the separation of the people of Israel with the rest of the world. If we go back 4,000 years ago, these ideas, the religious ideas, many things, the concepts were very different than we are today. You know, 2,000 years ago, they didn't know electricity. They didn't know many things that we have today. Many of the people at that time, if they didn't know what it was or how that works or how the situation, they will give a certain hocus pocus meaning on many things. Our Creator in His amazing wisdom was bringing His people little by little to a reality of avoiding paganism, fetishism, idolatry, all those type of things. And if you take a person or a group of people out of an environment that they have been accustomed, you know, you need to do a process of little by little to take them out from the part that they have been. I remember one time that in South America, they found a tribe, a small tribe. There were 3 men and like 6 women and several children that they had never had contact with the civilized world. And to me sometimes I question about the term civilized world, you know, because sometimes these people were more civilized than these civilized people, you know. At least they were more naive or more clean or more pure than the civilized people, because they were a little bit, they were in the stone age, if we can say. You know, once the people were reached by the civilization, they needed to teach them little by little certain norms. And it's interesting that the first one that sometimes they are in those areas, who are the first one that go there? The missionaries. You know? And the missionaries are going to put them in the right place. And the first thing that they're going to teach them is what is right and what is wrong. You know? They start dressing the women and dressing the men. Because nakedness is a sin. These natives, they needed to learn a new system. First of all, something that they consider so natural in their environment, now suddenly it is shameful. No? And these things create a big problem. Well, let's imagine now Israel living in an environment that was totally pregnant of idolatry. Where paganism was the number one thing in that environment. And everybody believed it in this way. But supposedly the Israelis were told that that was not right, that there was only one God and there was no any other God. But they, in this environment, they saw that even if we have the true God, the other people who say that they have other gods, look like that the other gods are better than my God. Why? Because they're more prosperous, they're stronger, they are, all those things that you can qualify and quantify. How are you going to argue with a person that has a machine gun, and you have a knife? Who is more powerful? And the one that has a machine gun say, my God gave me this machine gun and your God gave you a knife. Okay, that means that your God is stronger than my God. That was those ideas. Another thing that was very obvious at the time, and their gods only work in certain regions. When you go out of the borders of their gods, another God will take over. They pass the hand one to the other. But Israel brought a totally different idea. Not only that there is no other God beside Adonai, blessed be his name, but he was the God of the universe, the creator of the forest. The other gods were neither good or bad, they were non-existent. Then you need to go back. But how am I going to prove you that? I'm going to do miracles, I'm going to do signs and wonders, and all this stuff that we have been reading in the Torah. Little by little, the people of Israel were getting online. But they had a lot of things behind. It's very difficult if you are a Mexican, to leave your tortillas. You love your tortillas. And it doesn't matter that you live in Canada, you love your tortillas. Or if you are from Peru, like me, I cannot leave my ceviche. I love my ceviche, and doesn't matter how long I am in Canada, I like to eat ceviche. For certain people say, yeah, that is raw fish. And tell the Japanese not to eat sushi. Well, this is part of their culture. That's something that we grew up. And it's something that we value, and it's part of us. It doesn't matter what people say to us that's wrong or not, we keep it and we know it. But what about if you have other customs that you have inherited from your old culture, and maybe you have inherited a lot of taboos, a lot of superstitions, and you have been accumulating. And these superstitions take over the reality of your relationship with the true God. There needs to be a situation of purging, to clean the person, and to take those things out of the body. How people sometimes they get wet, you need to sweat, And after you sweat, what happens? You need to take a good bath, clean water, and to feel refreshed. Well, those ideas are part of this teaching that we need to look at from the perspective of the time and to look at today. Because, many people like the hocus pocus. But sometimes we need to understand the times and where certain things were given. Not to take away the teachings in the sense that they are not good for today. Totally the contrary. What we need to do is we need to go back to the principle. And something that I have been teaching you lately for many years. This is something that is important to understand. How many times I have repeated to you this same thing? I say that the word Torah doesn't mean law. Has nothing to do with nomos, as has been part now of the language of the people among Jews and Gentiles. You know, there's the law. But it's not the nomos, but it's the teaching, it's the principle, it's the guidance. That is what really Torah means. To guide us to a better life, to guide us a better living, to guide us to have life. You know, at the end of Devarim, Hasefer, the book of Deuteronomy, you know, our Creator gave us the opportunity to choose. After He had given us the Torah, and He's talking through Moshe Rabbeinu, He said, I have given this Torah. For more than you today, I give you two possibilities, to choose life or to choose death. And I beg you, I ask you to choose life. What is to choose life? To choose the Torah. What I mean the Torah? To choose the principles of God for a better living. Then, looking at that point, now we are going to the portion of getting into, we just finished the last week about the talk a little bit about the permissible and non permissible food that we can eat. You know, that is the ending. And at the end he say that I ask you to be holy as I am holy because I make you holy. No? Sorry. Then, what is our Creator trying to say to us as making us holy? The idea it is that the word holy, as I has explained to you also before about this, is that to be separated, to be different to the others, you know, not to follow everybody else for the sake of following, but totally the contrary, to be somebody who follows our Creator. And how do we follow Him? We need to get rid of many things that we have accumulated with the time. You know, when you go out of the city, you are in the city, you're walking, you know, the smoke, the fog, all these things. You will not believe me sometimes, but once you are in downtown and the smoke and everything, you go to your house and you try to use a white paper or something and clean your brush, and you're going to see that comes a little bit darker, you know, and this is the accumulation of the fog, of the smoke, you know, the debris. All of us, we are contaminated. The idea then is about to be clean. But clean in which way? In the physical way or in the spiritual way? And how do you explain to people 4,000 years ago about the differences between being spiritual clean versus being only physical clean? Another thing is, in the Hebrew scriptures, we are not, like in the Greek mentality, 3 bodies, no, 3 parts. No, we are all one. You know, in the Greek mentality, you can separate your body from your mind and from your soul. You know, but in the Jewish understanding, in the Hebrew understanding, it's inseparable all together. If your body is contaminated, your soul is contaminated, your psyche is contaminated, you are all contaminated. And by the way, that is a better today view. Because even psychologists are going to tell you, even doctors, physicians are going to tell you, that many psychological problems are going to produce physiological problems, physical problems. Even there are studies today that people who suffer cancer is because they are under a lot of stress or other things that are not necessarily directly to something physical, but it's something psychical, psychosomatic. Well, then let's look now about Tazria and Sarah. Tazria, the giving of birth, and Sarah about the leprosy that is translated sometimes or a skin disease. You know, most of the modern commentators, they will tell you that Sarah, who has been translated or they say mistranslated as leprosy, it is a misnomer because really it's not leprosy, it's not the Hansen disease, but it is some kind of a skin disease, but not only is the skin because that can be attached to inanimate things like the house, utensils, clothing, and things like that. There are two concepts here that I want to mention to you. Tahor utamei. Clean and unclean. No? And the significance in these old teachings. Through the years, I receive the questions, especially from women and from husbands of these women that have given birth. Can my wife come to the synagogue after she has given birth, or she needs to wait in her house until the 80 days or the 40 days, depending if it's a boy or a girl? You know? It is interesting that still today there are groups, very stringent groups, especially in the religion of rabbinical Judaism, that they still believe that the woman cannot go to the synagogue 40 or 80 days. And even, to give it even an extreme understanding of teaching, is that the woman cannot talk any man. No, because touching the man is going to be contaminated. And these things need to be clear once for all. Because sometimes I feel like we have advanced, and sometimes look like that many of our ideas are still 4,000 years behind. We need to look many of the teachings of the Torah according to the light that we are now receiving and to the understanding that we have and how it is today, and cannot change the principles that the Torah has teaching us, but we have a better understanding. One of the things that I have been teaching about is the word nidah, that is the word that also means separation. And this applies to the woman who is in her time of, in her period time, how do you call it, menstruation. It's almost monstrosity. Okay, I'm sorry, I am not good in those areas. But the idea is this, that supposedly the woman is unclean, is untouchable. Okay? And has been propagated this idea that the woman is something wrong, evil, or ugly. You know? A man has contributed to this idea, and sometimes certain passages, even in the scriptures, have used these ideas to make it something filthy or something wrong. But one thing is allegorical, another thing is reality. Let me explain to you in very simple ways, without complicating my life with anybody else, is in this. Our Creator allowed this time of nidah, of separation of the woman with the rest, is because our God created the woman as He created the man. And our God knows the psychology of man and the psychology of the woman better than anybody else, because He created us. And He knew how the man acts, and He knew what the mentality of man. Okay? And what was the thing? To protect the woman. Look at it. To protect the woman. Okay? He told to the man, don't touch her because you want to be unclean. He put a little bit of fear to the man in order that the woman would have her space. Okay? That was the reality. If God is going to say, you know, man, I want to give you a psychological teaching about what the woman is going through right now. You know, the change of her hormonal body, their chemistry is imbalanced, and at that time she's not totally together, and she can be very temperamental, and she needs to have a time on her own, you know. And I say, who cares? You know? Listen, I want the woman. But if God say to them, you know, if you touch her, you are unclean. Oh, okay. If I am unclean, I cannot go to the temple, I cannot go with people, I cannot go to take me a beer and sit on the corner. I better, you know, I better don't touch her. I'm going to give you a space. Okay? And the woman can recover on that very special time of her. Also, we can say in certain way that in those times, you know, when water was not something that, especially in the middle of the desert, you know, a little bit more hygienic and sanitary, we can put it in that way, that was better for the woman. All these teachings were specifically, in my understanding, to give it to the woman a break. Now, let's go to the next step, the Tazria. How can you understand that giving birth is a sin? You know, when you read sometimes, you need to read in the context, and you need to read in the culture, you need to read it in the understanding. You know, many of the rabbis, I like what they say. You know, how you ask the question, you know, why you give birth a boy? It's only 40 days. If you give birth a woman, a girl, you need to be separated 80 days. You know? Whoa, this is very interesting. You know? The woman, the woman could be more valuable if you took it from that side, you know, more special. Or you can say the man is much better than the woman because you need only less time. You know? And usually, sometimes, those explanations come all over. If you read certain midrashim by the arsages, and very obvious that they didn't know too well about giving birth on women, you know, you can start laughing sometimes about what they say. There are others that say wonderful things. But one of the things that's very interesting is, first of all, the 7 days, and then the woman, as the nida, as a menstruous woman, you know, she's going to declare at the 7th day clean. You know, that means has passed, he stopped bleeding, and now she can go. Why? Because the 8th day, the child, the boy, needs to do the brit milah, the mother wants to be there, and it's allowing to the mother to be there. And then after that 33 more days, she is going to be absent to go to touch the Santa, the sacred things, but she can be now with the people. Then, why all of this? Then, 40 days from one side, and the girl, if you give birth a girl, you need to be 14 days with the nida, or the separation of menstruous woman, and then, after that, you are going to be for 66 days, in the total of 80 days, and then you can go back to the temple. You need to go and give your offerings to God, giving thanks for everything that you have received. One thing that we need to understand is, like I said to you, is about the times. Do you know that it's just recently there is almost their assurance on all the women that if you want to give birth, you're going to come alive. 100 years ago, to give birth was a really touched with death. You didn't know if the woman was going to come alive or death. You know, we do not understand how much we has advanced in technology and in the health industry, no, especially for women. Today I just learned that, for example, Anna, who just gave birth, you know, they kept it in the hospital only 2 days and then she was discharged. Before they used to keep it a month, I think, a week in the hospital. And things have changed. Now the thing looks so natural, so easy. You know, even the curse about the woman to give birth with pain, almost. Oh, the woman will jump over me and kill me, but that's not my intention. They almost give birth without pain. I say almost, please women. I don't know what it means to do that, but you know, they can have some kind of anesthesia, epidural, they call it, you know, and they can go away with much pain. What has advanced? But in that period of time, our dear rabbis tell us that the women, when they're at the moment of giving birth, they make promises that they never ever more they want to have children, that they don't want to see their husband any longer, and they start cursing everyone because, and then they need to ask forgiveness for that attitude, you know, and that is the giving of this special offering. There are other religions that have used these passages to say that because of that, sex supposedly sinful, you know, and they need to clean themselves. But those ideas that come out, to me, they're terrible. Again, all these teachings are to protect the woman. Let me tell you one thing that I have learned to having my own 2 children. No, I didn't have one, my wife, but I was there, you know. I went through the process and seeing how the women go and suffer, you know, and the moment that they are giving birth, the pain that they go through. My 2 children came out without, my wife was very strong, I imagine, or very courageous, I don't know how to call it, but both children were born without anesthesia, were natural birth, you know. And I remember that her own father, who is an anesthesiologist, would say, "You are not giving me a good reputation, you know. He didn't know that you are my daughter, that I'm going to lose money," because she didn't want to have anesthesia. But in that process, I saw something, I learned something. It's about how women, you know, go through this process of screaming and doing things that are amazing. I went through the so-called Lamas class. And this Lamas class was very interesting because they teach you, I was labeled as a coach, you know. And it's very good to be a coach when you don't go through the suffering, you know. And being a coach, I was taught to tell you why that they need to focus, they call it the focus point, you know, and they need to learn to breathe and blow, breathe and blow, you know. And I was doing my job as a good coach, and I remember saying to her, "Blow, blow, blow," and she looked at me with such a hate because I didn't see any other one, and I say, "Get away from me! Look at you! What you have done to me!" You know, man, as a man, you feel so terrible. You know, what I have done, and she throw me out of the place. What blowing? What the focus point? The one screaming. You know. After a while, she comes down and call me back. You know, that's women. Okay, they can change. They have the right to change their mind whenever they want to. Okay, but we as men, we do not understand that process at all. We don't have the minor idea what they're going through. Finally, with all this screaming, finally the baby come out. You know, I always say to you, there's nothing more ugly than a new baby born. in the way, you know. Only you need to be a mother to really love and say how beautiful it is. Okay? Only mother can do that. Okay? Because you see the baby and you say, what have I done? You know? Oh, they are ugly. But they put it over the breast of the mama. And mama said, oh, how beautiful baby. And you're checking yourself and you say, there must be something wrong with her head. You know? And after all of that, what is the next thing that the woman is going to say to you? They have another one. And you say, these people, these human beings are crazy, no? You need to be a woman to go through that. I always say, if men need to give birth, we will be one generation to extinction. Okay? Because we are natural couples. God made us in a special way. He differentiated men and women. And women have given a lot of things. And our Creator has protected women in a special way, especially from men. And this is a way of protecting the woman. Teaching the men, don't touch her in those times. And the only way the men at that time will understand that you don't need to touch it is because you become unclean. Because men are very selfish. Nobody likes when I talk to men and they say, Rabbi, why you talk like that about us? You know? But this is a part of the facts that we need to learn and grow. The area of tahor and the area of tamei, clean and unclean, is a process that God is teaching us about respect and reverence to the things that are important. Another thing is about the sanctuary, the temple. You know, have you heard this saying, familiarity produces contempt. One of the things that our creators keep teaching us is that one thing is that I am your God, I love you and I created you. But another thing is you think we are equals. And you will be surprised how many of us have we taken away this reverence because of supposedly familiarity, and we have destroyed the special relationship with our Creator. And what our Creator is teaching us is be reverent, be respectful. And you need to go through certain steps. And this step is about that you need to be correct. You need to be right when you come and you approach me. To approach God needs to be in a way of sincerity and honesty and reverence. He is not your best friend, as many people tell you, and then, hey, well, let's go to have something together. No. There is something about the reverence of God that we have lost, especially lately, in these times, in this epoch. And I see how we have lost the reverence in this time. Well, today in the schools, the teachers are not called by sir, man, but they are called by the first name. When you have your boss, they say, oh, hi, instead to say, yes, sir, no, sir. Or yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. We have lost totally this respect for authority. Even with our own parents. To me it's very sad I come from a totally different culture to see how children talk to their parents. Hi, hello, and always for the first name. And the parents are so happy and they tell you, I do not want to be an authority figure, I want to be a friend of my children. And you see how has lost this relationship, how is broken. This is the reason that we do not have a culture of reverence and respect for each other. There is not. The saying of my father, I believe in equality, but some of us we are more equal than others. It is very important to understand it in the right way. same rights. But I remember the respect, value to the other person, reverence to the other person. It is very important to keep this society, this community. And how much more when we are talking about our Creator. And this is why it's so intrinsic in the psyche of the person to understand about this disease of Sara'at, or leprosy, that's called today. You see, the idea of Sara'at, according to our sages, it is not a physical disease, but it's a spiritual disease. And one of the areas there in the Talmud, they tell you that there are, one part they say there are 7 sins, and the other say there are 10 sins, depending on which midrashim and which rabbi is going to describe it. But the basic idea it is that you have done something wrong and you need to make it right. This is the reason that to clean Sara'at, leprosy, one of the korbanot is the hata'at, the sin offering. And the idea is that the particularities of the elements in the ritual that are used, each one has a meaning. And our sages, our rabbis, they will teach us the meaning of each one of them. And it's interesting that each one has a lot of food for our soul. But here is what I want to tell you. One of the areas that is most destructive among human beings is about gossiping, it's about speaking evil or bad against other human beings. In Judaism, we call it Lashon Ra, the evil tongue. In the Messianic writings, Jacob talks about this element of the tongue and how powerful it is. Many people, ladies, and now I am talking about ladies, there is a saying, they say, women fight more, how do you say, women are more dangerous when they fight. And you ask, women, how? Because women fight with the tongue, and they can cut you in little pieces that you don't even realize how cut you are until you are dead, you know? The problem here that we need to see is this. The Lashon Ra has been seen as a problem. We have in the Torah 2 examples, very, very special. One is with Moshe Rabbeinu. When he supposedly died, he said to God, they are not going to listen to me for the people of Israel. And our sages, our rabbis say that Moshe doubted or spoke bad against Israel. And for that reason, God said, put your hands under the bosom and then take it out and you are with leprosy. And then he realized what he did and they're going to put it back and he was healed. And the other one is about Miriam and Aaron. When they start gossiping against the Cushite wife of Moshe Rabbeinu. You know? And because they talk bad about her, you know, our Creator called both of them and told them, you are talking against my special person. The one that is the only one that I speak face to face, that I don't have secret for him. And you are speaking against him. Because of that, Miriam turned completely with leprosy. And she was separated from the camp for 7 days. They wait until she came out. I always ask myself, you know, remember, Aaron and Miriam were together. My question is, why Aaron didn't happen anything? He saw we getting free, you know? Okay? But he didn't get free. One of the reasons that say that nothing happened to him because he was the Hagar or Kohen, you know, and he couldn't have leprosy. You know, he was going to be inhabilitated forever to be the high priest. then we see other stories about leprosy. This is about Lashon Ra. But there are other areas. In 2 Samuel chapter 15 or in 2 Chronicle chapter 26, we see the story of King Uzziah, who got leprosy. In Samuel say that he was doing everything right, and we don't know why he got leprosy. But then in 2 Chronicle we see exactly why. He at the beginning was good, he conquered, he was very strong king, he conquered a lot of lands, and he became very, very proud. To the point that he get in the Beit Mikdash, in the temple, and he offered incense. And the Kohen, Azariah, didn't confront him, and because he was the king, he didn't obey, and in that moment he was hit with leprosy, and he died as a leprous king. We see the other is we have read in the Torah about this Aramean general Naaman, no, who also was a very courageous man, very strong man, but also had something in him, very proud man. And only when he humbled himself, he was cured. And here there are two areas that we are going to see about how our sages explain about the rituals of this cleansing. And it is this. First of all, the two little birds. You know, here in our family we had a Jonah family, and I told the Jonah family that they are always offering you as a sacrifice. You know, Jonah, I mean the little dog, paloma dog. You know, or the toad, the little bird. You know, and then you have a combination of blood, water, then cedar, crimson, and hyssop. Okay, all those elements, and each one of them plays a role. But what is interesting to me is how you see it, and then you start understanding the meaning of these different elements. And every element gives you a teaching. It's not so much about hocus pocus, but it's to teach these people at that time about something that's important. You know, the birds, you know, talking too much, you know, and then making a lot of noise, making the cedar tree, you know, it is very interesting about very tall, very proud, you know, and then you have the crimson, the hyssop, you know, the crimson is a little worm, you know, that they produce the red color, and the hyssop, it is a very low little bush, you know, and then the idea it is that you are so proud, you need to be like a worm, and you need to be mature like a tree. And the water and the blood, they represent agents that are agents of life and agents of cleaning. Look at all the pictures, and we can appreciate it today. You know, again, instead to go to the areas of mysticism, sometimes that we love to go very mystical, can we appropriate the principles that the Torah is teaching us? And in these two parashas, practical things we can learn. And one of the practical things, first of all, is the respect that we need to have for the women. Okay, this is very important, especially for men. And being more conscious about the women sometimes they need a special treatment in certain times of her life. Okay, we as men will never understand. You know, like I said to you before, we don't go up and down, up and down. You know, we don't have that. Okay, this is difficult for us to relate, but women go through that. Secondly, it's also important is to have this reverence for life. You know, every what would be the term that I need to use? Any discharge of any fluid that represents life is important to look at it. For example, blood is a container of life, and when you discharge anything in the blood, means that it's death. You know, because dies. You know, the semen and the men is the contain life, and the discharge outside the woman, it doesn't produce the purpose that it is in the natural way, then it is what it is. It is a discharge of life and producing death, because it's going to die. The seed is going to die. Then this is the idea that our Creator is giving to us, the idea about life and death. And this is the reason that to touch a corpse, and we're going to see in Bemidbar Hasefer in the book of Numbers, chapter 19, about cleansing the corpse, to clean ourselves from touching a dead, a cadaver. You know, it's interesting that the Hagadol Kohen and those Nazarites who made the vow, they are the only one that are not allowed to be close to a corpse. Everybody else can do it. Even a regular priest can do it. It's part of their family. But the Hagadol Kohen not. Okay. Then and not the Nazarite. Then what is this? Because our Creator is giving us these fabulous teachings about life and death. And our God is the God of life, is not a God of death. This is the principle and the practical way to see the scriptures. Not to go so much, like I said to you before, at the hocus pocus, but to look at like it is. You know, today in certain circles, women are still totally isolated. You know, and even men in certain groups, they don't even check the hand of a woman. You know, they don't touch a woman. You know, I don't know if she is contagious. Contagious of what? You know, but this is the old mentality. That we need to superate, we need to change, we need to make it different. We need to give it to the woman the value that she really has and the respect that she deserves. From the other side, you know, women, you can come to our synagogue anytime. And believe me, nobody's going to be checking on you. Because pretty soon then we are going to need to check all the men to see if they're circumcised or not. You know, and if you are not circumcised, you are also unclean. Okay? All the charges. We need to be careful that we don't fall in those fanaticisms and those misunderstandings. But we need to be clear about that our God, who is perfect, and who is omniscient and is all love, you know, He gave us at that time teachings like that to help us to keep the reverence for Him, and to keep respect for the group of people that they were less respected at that time. Now we are changing. And I hope that through these changes and these ways of looking now the scriptures, about looking about life, looking about respect and reverence, you know, to make it what is right, and not to put somebody down or to accuse anybody. And I finish with this. there is nothing more destructive when you make false charges against somebody else, or you speak evil against anybody else. You know? When our Creator said that He made us to His likeness and image, this is one of the reasons why He said, you shall not kill. You shall not commit murder. You know? And murder is not only about taking your physical life. There are worse type of murders when they destroy your whole reputation. When they start speaking evil about you. I know that perfectly, better than anybody else, because of my position and my stand about certain areas. The so-called religious people have said things about me that are unbelievable. And they call themselves followers of the true God. And the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob say that He has made us to His likeness and image, and we do not have the right to destroy anybody's, kill anybody's reputation. My father used to say to me, blessed be his memory, he used to say to me, son, if you don't have anything good to say about someone, keep your mouth shut. You know, this is the way that we need to understand. Because at the end, what is going to destroy all of us is the final sin that has destroyed all the nation. The sinat hinam. The gratuitous hate against others. Because we are different, we start hating each other. Let's try to reveal lines of communication and contact to each other. Not because we do not believe exactly the same way that we need to believe. We need to talk bad about the other person. If you are so ready to believe that I am cursed and I'm going to be destroyed by an almighty God, you know, please pray for me then. Instead to curse me. This is the right position of a true person who loves God. Don't hold hate against anybody, but totally the contrary. Even those who do evil to you, oh yeah, dislike them. Don't be in favor of them. Don't put them in a pedestal. But the ultimate righteous is our Creator. And He is the one that is going to bring justice for all of us. And sometimes, as Yeshua and Messiah said, don't worry. Do not worry about who can take your life here on earth. Worry about Him. Blessed be His name. Who can take your eternal life forever. May the Lord bless you and have a wonderful Shabbat.